In this video we're going to be discussing the differences in stealth camping during summer and winter, including topics like sunlight, weather and overgrowth.
We'll start with the most important and obvious difference between stealth camping in the winter and summer, and that is the sheer amount of daylight hours. It's currently something to 8 as I record this. We've still got over an hour of good sunlight left for the day. If I was doing this back in February or March when I first got into bivvy camping, then at this point I'd have already been hunkered down in the bivvy bag for a couple of hours in total darkness, possibly shielding myself from a very cold and very wet evening. Although that also sounds very much like a lot of summer evenings in Britain.
To illustrate this point, these clips were all filmed at the same location, just a few months apart, and you can see here in the winter at 8:05, I was here in total darkness, having to use a torch to basically illuminate everything, whereas today at 8 o'clock, the sun's not due to go down for another hour and a half, and even using my bright torch, it's barely changing the illumination of the ground beneath the trees. There's a practical implication to the lighter nights, as well as meaning you're not just stuck in a bivvy bag bored in the dark from about 5 PM, and that is that you're going to rely far less on using a head torch or an artificial light source. I mean, just look at how visible I am here, setting up a bivvy bag with the light of a head torch. And you can imagine if I didn't have some kind of light source there, it's going to be very dark and very tricky to make sure that you're getting everything sorted. Similarly, using a stove on your campsite with a flame like this on the trangier is also going to be far less visible to passers-by in the daylight hours. Similarly, passers-by will also not be using torches in the light nights, so any metallic or reflective items in your campsite are not going to accidentally be lit up by a stray artificial light and give the game away.
If you are going to be stealth camping and going off the beaten track, in the summertime, that's likely to mean going through some long grass. And unfortunately, that means ticks, ticks, ticks. Always be aware. And of course, even if you're a dweeb like me, with your trousers tucked into your socks, well, that's no guarantee they're not going to get you.
Here's something for you. That little piece to camera I did, wading through the long grass, has left my trousers completely covered in pollen. So of course, another downside to summer camping over winter camping is if you're a hay fever sufferer, and well, you don't want to get too much of this too close to you. Unbelievably, this route here, completely overgrown with nettles and brambles, is exactly where I was accessing my secret campsite during the winter. Once again, all of the overgrowth on screen now is exactly where I was walking, completely unobstructed, to my campsite.
Another significant downside to all of this summer growth is that, believe it or not, this was my completely clear winter campsite with a huge amount of plain, sometimes wet, sometimes muddy ground, but at least we could see exactly what we were pitching our tent on, and also if there were any hazards or if any idiots had thrown any glass on the ground here. Whereas now, not only is it covered in greenery, it is of course filled with little bits of bramble and little thorny bushes sticking up, so maybe not ideal for pitching, well, anything, let's be honest. But still, it's definitely an unbelievable amount of cover and camouflage to any of the paths around us.
You can see from this clip that there was so much flat open ground here that in the small hours one winter night, I actually decided to shift my entire campsite a few feet to the right hand side so that I could actually build an entire forester's tent tarp shelter around me. And even then I actually opened the doors and extended it by a couple of feet on one side because there was just that much room to do so. A wonderful evening this, to be honest. Anyway, I'm getting distracted with romantic memories of camping. Here you can see that in the summer, with all of the growth still growing at this point, remember, just emptying my kit out of my bag, I'm at risk of losing any small or obscure items into that greenery. Just a quick word on concealment here. You can see when the woodland was a lot more open and dead looking during the winter time, the light brown camouflage net I have was incredibly effective as just even a simple rudimentary screen that blended into the surroundings, whereas now my darker greener camouflage is practically disappearing amidst the more lively looking woodland, But we'll see in just a moment, once the bivvy bag is up, just how little camouflage matters at this particular location, where all of the overgrowth that I showed earlier that was blocking my usual path to this section has effectively penned us into our own private bit of woodland. And also, something as low profile as the bivvy bag is going to practically disappear into the shrubbery to begin with. So the overgrown nature of the ground during the summer compared to the winter is proven to be both a blessing and a curse. And here you might notice I'm actually keeping my air mattress on the exterior of my bivvy bag. And I wouldn't normally do that, but just talking about the potential for brambles and sharp objects snagging at the bivvy bag, I would rather potentially sacrifice the much cheaper air mattress than damage the bivvy bag itself. Over the course of the year, I've pitched up a tent or a bivvy bag here maybe 4 or 5 times, and doing this test setup today is the first time that I've not had to worry about being spotted from the path that's on the other side of those camouflage nets. In fact, I didn't bother putting those up properly simply because it was a waste of time, and once I'd illustrated the use of the camouflage for this video, I thought, why on earth am I trying to do all this when nobody can see through the brambles about 40-50 feet away from me? And here you can see me clambering into the bivvy bag. Again, as I said, so low profile is it that I don't even need to add any camouflage to it, basically. It's already doing the job just simply by being so low to the ground and nestled in amongst the greenery. If I do add my darker green camouflage net, you can see that from a distance, it really has basically disappeared. That camera view was from about 20 feet away, and if we get closer, of course, we stand out a mile. But if I really wanted to disguise myself, I'd of course be plucking a load of leaves off the ground to sprinkle across my camouflage netting. A quick thought on the weather. Of course, the only real advice that I can give here is that you should always check multiple sources for a forecast for your intended campsite and time. Now, the forecasts are not necessarily going to be perfectly accurate, so of course, plan for better or worse conditions as well. But unfortunately, in the UK, having a nice week off booked in the middle of August and a wonderful camping holiday planned is no guarantee that you're not going to have heavy rain every single day. And similarly, in the winter time, I've been out testing out the bivvy bag in temperatures between -5 and -10, and then within a week either side of that day, I've been out camping and not even seen the temperature drop remotely close to 0, never mind a minus temperature. And this is just the nature of the UK. Sometimes the seasons will pass as one big blob where it's basically been a bit milder and a bit drier at one point than another point. Other times you might have unbelievable snowfall repeatedly over winter, bitterly cold temperatures for a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And the summer may be the most scorching hot, heat-stroking, juicing temperatures you can imagine, but it also might be absolutely rubbish and it might rain practically every day from June until the following April. So I won't give you too much advice on the weather, other than to, of course, check multiple sources for the forecasts, and of course, don't expect the forecast to be 100% accurate, just in case you get caught out. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Please do like the video and subscribe and check out all of my other outdoor adventures. If you really want to help me out, please consider becoming a PayPal supporter, a channel member, a Facebook subscriber, or leaving a super thanks, like some of my recent supporters: Melissa L, 1234, Art V, Marissa, Dogs, Rob, Kaz G, Kevin Y, Jackie A, George B, Fake W, L Hughes, Steve B, John B, Sean B, BL Beach, Dawn H, A Sanford, T Seymour, and David D. Thank you very much, everybody. It really means a lot. Until the next time, keep it tent worthy, keep it interesting, have a fantastic day, and of course, farewell.